Hi everybody, I'm so sorry for the delay. We finally got it up and running. I'm going to be reading from my new book release, Sussex County Hauntings and Other Strange Phenomena, Part 3. And I'm going to be reading from the section on visits from deceased loved ones, because those are such poignant stories. And when I was reading some of the comments that you guys had presented earlier, a lot of them were talking about family members coming to visit. After-death communication, often referred to as ADC, is when someone will see, hear, or feel the presence of a deceased loved one or friend in their own space. An ADC can take on many forms. An individual that has such an encounter should be sure not to overlook it, because they happen in many ways. Butterflies, dragonflies, birds, they're all examples of signs being sent by our deceased loved ones to let us know they're near and dear to us. Aphrodite. Desiree Church was in Oklahoma on her last few days of active duty with the Air Force Security Force, commonly known as the Air Force Police. It was 2016 and she was getting ready to go on terminal leave because she was pregnant. When she began having severe pains in her stomach, Desiree was afraid something was wrong. She already suffered a miscarriage once before at 6 weeks of pregnancy. She went in for her first appointment and the doctor found there was no heartbeat. After a fitful, sleepless night, she awakened in the morning to find blood in her urine. Her worst fears were coming to life. Her husband, Trevor, escorted her to the hospital, where the bleeding escalated. It was determined she was dilated with an incompetent cervix, meaning her cervix opened too soon during pregnancy. Desiree was 21 weeks and 5 days at that point. The doctor informed her she would be remaining in the hospital with the hopes of stabilizing her to 24 weeks to keep the baby. After 2 days in the hospital and many tests, and after evaluating Desiree, the doctor detected a foul odor, usually indicative of a serious infection. The doctor determined it was grave enough to possibly kill Desiree and made the decision to deliver the child. She experienced complications during the procedure. The doctor and staff were unable to get all the placenta out of her. She was promptly given D&C, a process which involves scraping and scooping the contents of the lining of the uterus. Desiree delivered a baby girl on June 26, 2016. She named her Aphrodite. Aphrodite lived for 2 hours before passing away. Desiree and Trevor made the decision to cremate her and keep her precious remains with them in their home. In October of that same year, Desiree found out she was once again pregnant. Trevor and Desiree were elated and hopeful for the best possible outcome. On June 30th, 2017, Desiree gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. They named her Victoria. After their prior experiences, they were both thrilled and relieved to have delivered a healthy baby safely, with Desiree having no major complications. Desiree touched her hand to her precious baby to make sure she wasn't dreaming her up in her mind. The happy parents decided to bring Aphrodite's ashes to the hospital to photograph them with their new addition. Desiree was determined to make sure Victoria would grow up knowing her sister Aphrodite. One day, as Desiree gazed at her beautiful baby girl sleeping softly in her crib, she took out her cell phone to snap a picture of the peaceful scene. When she looked back at the picture later that day, she noticed an odd-looking shadow beside Victoria. When she zoomed in to have a better look, it became clear that the figure was an outline of a sleeping baby. Desiree is convinced it was Aphrodite sleeping soundly beside her baby sister Victoria. Since then, Desiree often feels her presence around her, and on occasion she has caught Victoria talking to Aphrodite's urn. Isn't that a beautiful and lovely story? Thank you so much for sharing it with me today. I hope you enjoyed it.